Dad, I'm gay. Like, always have been. I've known since forever. And, I know I haven't seen you in like a year, and, I don't know when's the next time I'll be able to see you. I didn't want to do it over the phone. I wanted to tell you in person, but, I didn't want you to find out any other way. You still love me?
September 20th, 2:45 a.m. Randy Phillips confesses his sexual orientation to his parents the day Don't Ask, Don't Tell is repealed. He has posted previous videos concerning his sexual identity and the military. However, up to this point in time, his face has had to remain hidden and his identity anonymous. The repeal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell has changed the lives of Phillips and millions of other servicemen and women in the United States of America. Gays and lesbians no longer have to closet their sexuality to maintain positions in the military. Don't Ask, Don't Tell was the official U.S. policy banning gay and lesbian conduct in militant settings. In 1993, Bill Clinton implemented this policy, prohibiting any homosexual from disclosing their true sexual orientation during service. Gays and lesbians had to remain closeted or face discharge. Clinton outlined these 3 regulations.
1. Servicemen and women will be judged based on their conduct, not their sexual orientation. 2. Therefore, the practice, now 6 months old, of not asking about sexual orientation in the enlistment procedure will continue. 3. An open statement by a service member that he or she is a homosexual will create a rebuttable presumption that he or she intends to engage in prohibited conduct, but the service member will be given an opportunity to refute that presumption. In other words, to demonstrate that he or she intends to live by the rules of conduct that apply in the military service.
Though Clinton had no intention to discriminate against homosexuals, the outcome of Don't Ask, Don't Tell was extremely hurtful towards gays and lesbians who were forced to hide their orientation. Any persons found disregarding the policy would be subject to vigorous investigation, harassment from fellow colleagues, and were often banned from military service. Since 1993, over 14,500 men and women have been discharged due to Don't Ask, Don't Tell. Because the military created a hostile environment for gays and lesbians, the LGBT community outside of the military has suffered as well. The Service Members Legal Defense Network reported from 1998 to 1999, anti-gay harassment increased by 142%. According to Randy Schiltz, a pioneering gay journalist reporting in the 70s to the early 90s, such policies make it known to everyone serving in the military that lesbians and gay men are dangerous to the well-being of other Americans. They also create an ambience in which discrimination, harassment, and even violence against lesbians and gays is tolerated and to some degree encouraged.
So this morning I am proud to sign a law that will bring an end to Don't Ask, Don't Tell. No longer will our country be denied the service of thousands of patriotic Americans who were forced to leave the military, regardless of their skills, no matter their bravery or their zeal, no matter their years of exemplary performance, because they happen to be gay. No longer will tens of thousands of Americans in uniform be asked to live a lie. As Admiral Mike Mullen has said, our people sacrifice a lot for their country, including their lives. None of them should have to sacrifice their integrity as well.
On September 20th, 2011, mere moments before Randy Phillips came out to his father, the Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy was completely repealed. The repeal was a process that began in May 2010 by the House of Representatives amending the National Defense Authorization Act, which specifies budgets for military spending, to approve of a repeal. However, protests from many politicians, including John McCain, exponentially delayed the process. Before making any adjustments to the policy, McCain felt the necessity to pose a survey on U.S. military forces, stating,
"What I am opposed to is bringing up the defense bill now before the Defense Department has concluded its survey of our men and women in uniform, which gives them a chance to tell us their views about Don't Ask, Don't Tell. We've asked for their views, and we should wait to hear from them and then give their views the fullest consideration before taking any legislative action.
This pulled repeal efforts back for nearly a year. However, the Department of Defense's Comprehensive Review Working Group eventually released a report surveying about 115,000 military personnel, stating that there was a low risk of service disruption if a repeal was to be implemented.
They don't care. These are our peers. This is the generation that also, like with the Will and Grace generation, they were exposed to.
The Will and Grace generation?
That's what we kind of refer to them as. They grew up with it in the media, gays, and they see gay people as humans, as Americans. They don't see gay people as people with a disability or disease.
In December 2010, Obama signed a Don't Ask, Don't Tell bill of repeal, passed by the Senate. However, the repeal did not go into effect until fall of 2011. Representative Duncan Hunter, among other politicians, highly disapproved of the bill and made efforts to delay certification. Many people also questioned the implementation of the bill. Questions arose concerning morale and readiness in the military. They wondered how troops would react, knowing that they were serving with gays and lesbians. Could units continue to cooperate regardless of sexuality? The American public seemed to greatly endorse the repeal, with famous figures such as Lady Gaga and Kathy Griffin standing up to gather support. Rallies and marches were held throughout the country as the LGBT community called for the government to end this outdated policy. Finally, after a 60-day waiting period, the repeal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell was official on September 20th, 2011.
For we are not a nation that says, don't ask, don't tell. We are a nation that says, out of many, we are one.
Though Don't Ask, Don't Tell has been nullified, the policy is still an ongoing debate. Like many official government documents, the repeal may be subject to change at any given moment. Millions of Americans across the nation have created sound arguments for repealing Don't Ask, Don't Tell. Nevertheless, there are protests contesting these arguments. Those who argue for the repeal have stated their opinions concerning the policy itself. They believe that the policy has scarred the U.S. government and it has presented America as a bigoted nation that discriminates against homosexuals, even though the Declaration of Independence promises equal rights for all. Other countries such as Britain, Denmark, Holland, Sweden, Norway, Switzerland, and Israel have opened up their doors to gays and lesbians in the combative forces. Representative and Iraq veteran Patrick Murphy raises the question, does Don't Ask, Don't Tell undermine American military professionalism? It implies that servicemen and women cannot work collectively when presented with individual differences such as sexuality, race, religion, etc. He states that,
but we're talking about orientation, not misconduct here. And that is the premise of my question to you, Ms. Donnelly, is that you're saying that our military, the greatest military in the world, one I was honored to serve with when I first put the uniform on back in 1993, is not as professional as 24 other countries because they can't understand what is right and what is wrong.
Protesters of the repeal believe that military persons cannot trust one another if there is a homosexual presence, that straight men and women will always have to fear the threat of sexual misconduct or assault. In actuality, Don't Ask, Don't Tell may have prevented complete unit cohesion, with team members distrusting their colleagues. Because sexual orientation could not be disclosed, anyone could be charged with misconduct. Everyone was under suspect. Gay men and women struggled with fear of being revealed and discharged from service. Therefore, they could not fully connect with their comrades. Gay Navy Lieutenant Gary Ross discussed his experience under Don't Ask, Don't Tell, revealing that being in the military is extremely invasive. It becomes a web of excuses you make when you try to be as honest as possible, but you can't be honest. It becomes very difficult to trust somebody you can't be honest with. Furthermore, the Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy has costed the military thousands of capable members and about $27 million in training costs for new recruits. There is no winning when skilled service members that hold jobs such as medics, translators, and even high-ranking officials are discharged upon the basis of their sexuality. Eric Alba, a gay Marine veteran who lost his leg on the first day of combat in Iraq, testified that, "We're losing probably thousands of men and women that are skilled at certain types of jobs, from air traffic controllers to linguists, because of this broken policy." On the contrary, arguments for the Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy continuance include the idea of the repeal being just a social experiment, detrimental to the U.S. government in a time of international conflict and instability. Don't Ask, Don't Tell advocates argue that the government should not be worrying about gay rights when it is in conflict with other nations and fighting overseas. It should put its efforts into combat strategy or ending conflict. Though the repeal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell has been issued officially, implementation has been a shaky process. Beginning in 2011, a Department of Defense committee led by Clifford Stanley has called for 3-month periods of training for all military personnel to handle the transition. Numerous men and women have been able to proudly come out and announce their sexual orientation. Recently, the Navy's traditional homecoming kiss was shared by 2 women, Petty Officer 2nd Class Marissa Guetta and Petty Officer 3rd Class Kitilak Snell, and Outserve. A gay military magazine featured 100 servicemen coming out for the first time. Yet the movement has not been complete. Same-sex couples still struggle to have the same benefits as heterosexual couples in the military. The Pentagon has promised 14 benefits such as service members' group life insurance and casualty notification that gay militants can receive. However, these have not been allotted completely and are not the same for heterosexual couples. Due to the Defense of Marriage Act, which defines marriage as a union between a man and a woman, same-sex partners do not qualify for basic privileges such as permanent change of station benefits, allowance for housing, family separation allowance, subsidized dental or health care, and access to military facilities. As Lawrence Watts, a journalist whose husband is in the military, points out, any woman my partner might have married would be entitled to all of these benefits. Additionally, the laws regarding homosexuality may not have been changed much at all. Sodomy by service members is still prohibited by law, and the repeal did not change any wording in Article 125 about Uniform Code of Military Justice relating to this subject. Although there are still laws which are discriminatory against the LGBT community, the repeal of Bill Clinton's Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy is a step forward. President Barack Obama ignited hope within the heart of a community that has been forced to conceal its true identity for what seemed to be eternity. Hopefully, following the repeal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell, there will be more emphasis on changing laws that discriminate against gays and lesbians. Change is a slow process. However, if America puts one foot in front of the other, soon homosexuals will be walking out of the door, proudly serving their country.